So a bit of a departure from all of the electric motor stuff. There's been quite a lot of rain over the past week and I'm getting rather fed up of having to bail out the cockpit. So what I'm going to do is try and get this cockpit drain opened up and get it draining at least into the bilge where it can be pumped out by the electric bilge pump, or get it to the drain which is currently attached to the rear cockpit drains, because these are over here. As you can see, it's perfectly dry at the back of the cockpit, whereas it's nice and wet at the front of the cockpit. It's also wet up here, so both of those things need sorting out. Right, this is where I've got to. These are the front cockpit drains, and what I have done is I bought a couple of, these are actually through holes for bilge pipes, 1 inch, and I've cut them down so that they'll fit into the cockpit drain. And then see if I can get a look at this. So you just about see that. What I did is cut a little bit of the PET foam round here, and I cut a ring so that it would kind of hold it in place, and then I've glued it in with the thickened epoxy pre-mixed glue that I've got round there. Now that pre-mixed thickened epoxy isn't quite thick enough. It's not like your peanut butter consistency. So what I'm going to do today is I've got some epoxy thickener, so I'm going to use the premix but add a little bit more thickener so that I can kind of paste it in here and hopefully make sure that I've got a really good seal there. Do that on both sides, and once that's dry that should be really good to go, and I can just attach the hose pipes. So I've got my 610 thickened epoxy, and I've got some 402 milled glass fibre blend. The reason I sound a bit funny is I'm wearing my new respirator, because I don't think that the glass fibre blend is very good for you. So the other thing I need to do is put some gloves on and then get to mixing. So there we go. I'd say that's much more of a peanut butter texture. So that's worked pretty well, really. There we go. Pretty good. Here's the other one. It's actually better. So once that's all dried off, I'll just clean it up a bit, I think light sanding, and that should be good to go. Okay, so I filled it in with the thickened epoxy yesterday. That seems to have done a really good job. So today what I'm going to do is I'll probably just clean this lot up a little bit and then actually attach the pipes and give it a test. See if it's all waterproof. It should be. I mean, it looks fairly clean. So yeah, all in all, very exciting. My first real use of epoxy. Great stuff. Here we go. So one across to there. Probably be able to pin this up here somewhere, make it a bit neater, and then the other one from there to there. So the next thing I've got to do is just see whether it leaks. Right, let's give a try. Some water in there. So that all feels perfectly dry. That's good. And then, yeah, that's dry. And then this bit in here. Yep, that's dry too. Excellent. Right, now I'm going to try the other one. Well, that's that done successfully. Pleased about that. It took me a while to figure out what the best solution was, but I think where I came to in the end, which was plumbing the front cockpit drains into the through hole that used to be served by the rear cockpit drains, and then removing the old hose from the rear cockpit drains. And I think that what I will be doing, I'm not doing it yet because I've got other stuff to do, but what I will be doing is plumbing the rear cockpit drains into where the old exhaust was. I think that that was the best solution in the end, but it did take me a while to figure that out. The eagle-eyed amongst you will have seen that I haven't put 2 Jubilee clips on each hose as recommended. I'm not sure how necessary that is. I mean, it seems to me that the Jubilee clip is not the most likely thing to fail. Most of my experience has been with cars, and usually it's the hoses that perish. You know, it's not the Jubilee clip. I've never seen a Jubilee clip fail, so I'm not sure how useful putting 2 Jubilee clips on is. If you've got a different opinion or you've got different experience to me, then yeah, please leave a note and I'll take it on board. But otherwise, yeah, a successful couple of days. And that means that I will no longer have to, every time it rains, spend ages sluicing out the cockpit, which is a real bonus. It'll actually allow me more time to do stuff on the boat. So there was a fair amount of rain last night, and you see that it's pretty dry. In fact, it was almost completely dry, but I've sluiced the water off the cockpit seat, so it's gathering there now. But this is working, and I've checked down below and I've got no leaks down below, so I think we can count that one as a success. Chalk that off. Hi there. I'm waiting for the motor mount to arrive, which is going to be another week, maybe a week on Monday. So today I am going to attach the T-piece in place where the old exhaust was, as my plan is to make the rear cockpit drains go through to the old exhaust. So the first task is attaching this T-piece. Right, so here is the exhaust. I measure the top. That's about, let's have a look, here we go, 38 mil. And then let's have a look at it this way round. It's quite a lot bigger. So you can see that the tube has kind of been hammered, I think, obviously to make it easier to put the exhaust pipe on. So that's quite a lot bigger, 42.5. So what I'll have to do is cut something sort of close to size, and yeah, sort of fettle it a bit to get in. Great times. Okay, so this is what I've got so far. So this is the pet core that I've bought for doing these kind of things. I've got 2 layers of it, and I've
use some epoxy resin, both to glue them together and to coat it, give it some strength. So the next thing I need to do is cut a hole in the middle so that will go through it, and then I'll use the epoxy, thickened epoxy glue to glue that in place. Once I've done that, I can put it in the exhaust hole. I've made this a little bit oversized, so there still will be some trimming that I need to do once I want to get it in, but I want to get it as tight as possible, so that's by design. Okay, so that could have gone better. I'd nearly drilled the hole through and then it just kind of all fell to bits, so I think there's enough there though for me to kind of glue it on, and then once the stuff that I've done so far is set, I can fill in all the holes. So even though it's not going to be one solid piece, there's enough. It's almost like a kind of skeleton for the epoxy. Of course, good thing about epoxy resin is that it has got structural strength in itself, so I'm not just relying on the foam core to provide the strength. It's now the next day, and after a fair amount of what Maz from Sailing Athena would call smushing, I've now got something that looks reasonably like the thing that I envisaged when I started on this. So another 5-6 hours to dry, and then I can get on to fitting it into the exhaust pipe. Morning. It's a lovely day on what I suppose now we must say is late summer here in Scarborough, and it's now time for the next step in attaching the rear cockpit drains to the old exhaust pipe. So this has gone off quite nicely, and my next task is to file it down so that it fits neatly and snugly into the exhaust. Then I will glue it in with yet more epoxy, and hopefully tomorrow I will be able to connect the pipes, if I can figure out how to get to them without having to dismantle the boat. 20 minutes of filing and I've got a reasonable close fit. So I'm going to clean everything up now and then whack in some thickened epoxy. In the end, I didn't end up connecting the pipes between the rear cockpit drains and that T-piece that I'd put in the old exhaust. So that is a task for another day.